Hey guys, good morning, or I mean, good evening, whatever it is. The internet is not very good. We are breaking up. That's why I stopped the intro because I saw it wasn't really playing. Um, so if we sound choppy, or I sound choppy, or Vicky sounds choppy, that's why. And yeah, I hope this is gonna work. And I know I'm late, and I'm sorry, but I just realized what time it was because we went like way over at the church on the garage. She was probably 65 or 68. We were talking to her, Britt David and I just got back from school, and we're sharing with this man and woman in the office. We're talking about sex trafficking.
There he is.
And this woman was like, just like she was blind, but she didn't really understand. So I shared with her. I said, "Lady, what's going on around here?" She said,
Oh,
"Here." So we explained to her that we got a group that come to our church and train themselves on the child trafficking. That's what they do. They go out and kick the doors in and rescue these kids. So they've been training at our church, going through about 40 or 60 hours of training on this. And the one guy doing the training shared a story. He came in to do the training one day and he said, about 8 months ago, I think last fall or something, right in Coshocton, at the Walmart in Coshocton, you see a guy with two little girls, about 10 years old, walking through the store, so he killed him. He followed him around the store. Needless to say, they went out the front of the Walmart. He followed him out in the parking lot. He lifted the big door on the back of the box truck, about that high, and shoved him in, both them girls. And he looked, and you could see other legs inside that church. Now, this thing was shot at the Walmart. So he tailed him, called him, followed him for about 9 or 12 miles. Finally, 10 or 12 cruisers come flying in to pull this truck over. They come out full gear, all guns blazing on the truck. Lift up the 3 guys out in front of the truck. They back door. There was 14 girls in there, all under the age of 14 years old, in nightgowns. One of them had blood all over. I mean, it was horrible. Horrible. But he said they're moving into rural areas, coming out of the big cities, and coming to places like Mount Vernon, Shopton, the bicycle parks, bike paths, the parks where girls play softball. Hello. The drug dealers have converted over to picking up children
Yes.
because they can sell a child. Did you hear any of that?
No, I can hear them talking. It's almost like people faintly talking, like they're 3 miles away, kind of.
Okay. Hey, everybody that's watching, I apologize, but the mic isn't working, and I have my Bluetooth hooked up to the laptop, and the internet is terrible. Oh man, they were actually just talking about
Brian.
Hey Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Church in the garage is where believers get a tune up and revved up. Amen.
That's awesome. And David, I would like to say that Sarah is live chatting live right next to me.
Oh my. Hi, Sarah.
We are in Dallas.
Awesome. Here are the Watchmen?
This weekend. So we've got a week to just hang out. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I apologize that not being able to do anything else. Hey, Chance, how are you, brother? So let me just see. Hold on. Maybe I can do it another way.
I wonder if I go on YouTube, if that's going to like be interference.
Go on YouTube. All right, so we're kind of live right now, so they can't really hear everybody else. So, are there any other questions, anything like that, anything like anybody want to ask or concern? There was no medicine. No. Okay, so the question is, yes. So, I was on a slew of medication. Yeah, and when the virus took over my body, and
and my immune system dissipated and was gone. And I had infections in my brain, infections in my blood, and they said, you won't live 3 months. And they put a hospice in place, sent me home, put a hospital bed in my home, and it was just making arrangements, and hospice would come out, and I was having like several mini strokes a day from the infections in my brain, and I was, the doctor actually told me, you don't have to take the HIV medicine anymore because it's not going to help you because you have no immune system, you will die. And so I was also on a whole bunch of other medications, like, for the depression and the anxiety, sleeping disorders, all of that. And as well as oxycontin, oxycodone, hydrocodone, morphine, street drugs, everything to try to take the edge off of all the pain. And I was in a lot of pain because of osteoporosis. It was severe. It was so severe I couldn't stand up straight, couldn't walk without a walker. So I was dragging myself around on a walker for over a year. Hadn't stood up straight for over 2 years. And so I spent these weeks, I picked up the Bible, we went over all that. And I started standing up and getting up out of bed.
Can you share? Remember when we first met you? You shared about how you repented, but you just did your tent, walking on said prayer.
Yeah.
Healed.
So when I opened up the Word, and the first verse I ever read in the New Testament, Romans 1:27, and so when I got past that and the shock of it, I started diving deeper into the Word, and just all I wanted to do was absorb all that I could, and this Word came alive to me, and this Word was alive to me, and it was just feeding, it was just pouring into me. But I started realizing that there were things I had to do, and so the Word told me that I had to speak and repent and ask for forgiveness, and I had to release those things. I had to speak them. So that's what I did, and it took me weeks. I spent weeks laying in that bed, praying, talking to Jesus, and speaking, repenting, making sure I spoke it. I remember that someone said, well, David, you didn't have to speak it all. And I'm like, well, yeah, you did, because his Word told me to do it. And his Word was so detailed and so precise to me that I wanted my repentance to be just as detailed and precise to him. And so as I was pouring out to him, he was pouring into me. And so it was weeks of repentance. And it's because he tells us to repent. There's a key in transparency. When I was at the high school today, a young lady came up to me and she said, well, I've been raised Catholic, and my Pope says that it's okay for people to be homosexual. I said, and well, that's kind of what I told her. I said, look, I really don't want to hurt your feelings, and I really don't want to offend you. I said, but your Pope is evil. And he's just as deceived and just as wicked as I was.
Yep.
And she said, but I love my Pope. I said, well, that's okay. If you love him, you need to get him saved. But we got onto the talk about confession. And so the Catholic religion, and I'm not going to beat I don't beat religions or denominations up. But what I want to say is the Catholic religion has tainted confession. And they don't know they've done it. They think they've done the right thing. But what they've done is they've taken confession when the scriptures say to confess to God and confess one to another. So if we're supposed to confess one to another, we don't confess in confidence. We confess to be transparent because there's the transparency. Wait, now my Bluetooth is going to die. The transparency is where the key to our freedom is at. You have to speak it to release the power that it holds over. So when I see what the Catholic religion has done with confession, is they put a priest in a box. And in this box, he's leaning against this grate. And as all these other people come into the other side of this box, and they're pouring out all the darkness that's inside of them, confessing all these filthy, detestable things that they're doing, and they're pouring it into one man, and he's not allowed to release it. He's not allowed to go tell nobody else about it and release it. And then they wonder why priests are running around raping nuns and molesting children and committing suicide. It's because they're being consumed by all of the demonic garbage that's being poured into them through confession. Confession is simple. We don't keep secrets. We shouldn't have to keep secrets. If we have secrets, we had better start speaking those secrets out publicly to release the power those secrets hold over us. I don't come to you and confess to you in secret or in confidence, because that means that it's still a secret. It's just a secret that one more person knows. And that's all that is.
I'm going to ask the other problem I had was, of course, I was born and raised. I went through the Catholic school system until junior when I left the church and left school. On purpose. I still left them over in life. The nuns that I have a real problem with, as well as the priests, because I asked a lot of questions they didn't want to answer. First one. Finally, the priest just told me one day, we had catechism, we don't do this. Catechism.
Yeah. Well, my mom said the same thing. My mom was raised in a Catholic school, in the Catholic church, and they didn't even have a Bible in their home.
Well,
So,
what was worse than that was the training we got. I mean, when you're little, I'm not going to put a year on it, but the thing that finally got to me was, but sister, I didn't do any sins this week. You still have to go and talk to the priest and pray, no matter what. What am I supposed to tell him? I mean, I wasn't real old at the time, but that was the problem with me. But I found the problem in the Catholic Church way too young, and it just stayed with me the whole day. Time until my parents were Catholic and said, "You've got to go there." They finally let me stop going there when my dad had to pay tuition for me to go to Catholic Church until I was able to leave. But you see what I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely. And you guys didn't hear all that, right?
What? Did I lose it? He's doing that. He does a show with a lady every Tuesday night at 7. She's out of Texas, and the show's called Dry Bones, and they do this show. So he said, "Hey, I'm going to be doing church in the garage. I'll just tune in at 7. We'll share what's going on in the garage." So these people down in Texas is who he does the show with down in Texas.
Isn't God great how he just networks and connects
Like-
people?
Okay. All right, that's good. Vicky, so Vicky's in the chat. My co-host is in the chat now because we can't really communicate right now and they can't hear none of you. So if you have a question, just ask the question and then I'll repeat it, and then that's the only way I can think about doing it right now. I was supposed to have a mic, but my mic wasn't working. Of course, just like the video didn't happen today at the school, even though we videoed all 4 classes and went live all 4 classes, none of the video came out. And none of it went on live, but we're kind of used to things like that. And so I'm going to check the chat too, so if anybody has any questions, ask. If not, I did 2 years the first time, and then I did 3 years the second time. The question was, how long was I in prison? What's my input as far as the prison system? Don't go there. Stay away. In all honesty, it was the prison system where my feet was planted. That led me to life, basically. My last time in prison was my second time in prison. I was transgender, lived like a woman, breast, everything. And so, of course, that was quite the attention getter in a men's prison was one of the guys walking around with breasts and, you know, looking like a woman. So, yeah. So as if it wasn't, you know, big enough, I had to get out there, tie my t-shirt up, and start cheerleading and dancing on the rec yard. Because it's all about being a spectacle. And so anybody that really knows a lot of, or any, not a lot of, but any homosexuals or transgenders, it's all about being a spectacle. It's all about the attention of the whole thing, you know. And so I was in prison. I'm on the rec yard dancing around and cheerleading for the guys playing basketball. And there was a correctional officer, and he just kept looking at me, and I'm like, this dude's gonna be a problem. And he was. It was a good problem. But he said, hey, you come here. And I bounced up to him, and I'm like, what? And he's like, what's your name? And I said, Paige. And he was like, no, that's a girl's name. What's the name your mama gave you? And I was like, David. And he was like, okay, David. He's like, do you know that God didn't create you to be this way? And I was hurt. I was angry. I was offended. He hurt my feelings. You know, I'm like, this guy's drinking haterade. Something's wrong with him. You know, he wouldn't have done that if we were on the street. You know, all kinds of crazy things. And so ignorantly and arrogantly, I looked at him and I was like, of course he did. Look at me. I do this well. And he's like, no, he didn't even intend for you to look like that. And I remember him saying to me in conversation, he says, David, how did you look like that? And I was like, and he was like, did it come natural? Do you naturally look like you look right now? And that was a truth bomb. That was a truth bomb that stuck with me for a long time because it wasn't natural. I had to take hormones and I had to have procedure and I had to have silicone put into my face and you know, all these other things. And so it wasn't natural. And so that's a truth bomb that really affects you and it really gets to you because somebody knows that they're telling you something that really affects you. But one thing I noticed about this man was that he was different. And a lot of the students had questions about that man today. Because I said he was different. Because there was something about that man that I knew when I looked in his eyes that he truly, purely loved me, cared about me. And he didn't even know me. But I knew that he just wanted to pour out something into me that he had received. And I knew that this was the first man, sadly, 30-something years old, this was the first man in my life that ever stood before me that I knew didn't want to use me, abuse me, profit off me, keep me while I was down, have fun with me. None of that. It was just about him pouring out into me freely what had been poured into him ever so freely. And so that was like the icing on the cake of prison for me. It's not what I didn't get saved in prison. I would look forward to talking to him. We called him Bishop. That was his nickname, Bishop. And so we'd be hanging out in my cell, and they see Bishop coming down the catwalk, and they'd be like, "Oh, here comes Bishop. I'm out of here." And I'm like, "Y'all go ahead. I want to talk to this man." You know. And then he told me when he first met me, he's like, I'm going to tell you every day that God didn't create you to be that way. Because I can't. And I was like, whatever. And he did. He told me every day. He was like, hey, God didn't create you to be this way. And got to the point where I started seeing him and I'd be like, hey. And he'd look, I said, God didn't create me to be this way. You know, and I keep walking. And and sometimes I'd stop and be like, did you really just say that? You know? And so I remember one time I'm sitting on the rec yard and I'm sitting on like this little brick wall that was kind of like on the corner of the rec yard. And I was really in deep thought. And a homosexual, he was like one of my friends. We used to hang out together and work out together. And he comes bouncing up to me and he says, what's wrong with you, child? And I said, you know, I'm just thinking. I said, I've been with thousands of men. I was like, and I'm not being, I'm not embellishing it. I'm like probably tens of thousands. I said, but there's one man I've never given a chance. And he's like, who? And I said, Jesus. And he looked at me and said, oh, you just crazy because you're getting ready to go home. You're thinking crazy. And I just kind of blew it off, and I never thought about it again. And got out of prison, and I didn't become a man of God. And like a dog, I returned to my vomit. And when I got out of prison, I added a couple of things. I started selling dope, and I started gambling a lot, and engaging in even more sexual activity with even more people. And then in 2008 is when the osteoporosis started setting in. And it started with a lot of pain in my body and a lot of pain in my core. And then I needed a cane just to keep my balance. And then I started getting a little hunched over. And then I was so hunched over that I was completely bent over, and I needed a walker to drive myself around on and couldn't stand up straight at all. And they were so worried about my bones just snapping, they were so brittle, that they wanted me to sleep in a brace. And but that, even that, and that's I try to get that through to a lot of people. You know, that's very painful, and so it's excruciating pain, 24 hours a day. No matter the pain pills, it still doesn't really take the pain away. It might take the edge off. But even all of that pain and having to drag myself around on a walker didn't stop me from going to the club, to the bar, to the orgies, to the casinos, to the parties, to the corner. You know, it didn't stop me from wanting to satisfy the lust of my flesh. And so in 2009, when God struck me down with full-blown AIDS, and I say God struck me down, a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, I knew it. AIDS was God's punishment. And that's not really, it's not God's punishment. AIDS was my reward. It was my recompense for the choices that I made in my life. So for all of my choices, for all of our choices, good or bad, we receive rewards. And rewards are not always good. Rewards are just payment for an action. So it could be a good payment, bad payment. AIDS is a bad payment, a bad reward, but it's a reward nonetheless. And it was my reward. And it's what I received for all of my choices for engaging in sexual activity with numerous partners, you know. And I met a young lady who, when she was 16, she had sex one time with a condom and was HIV positive because she engaged in sexual activity. It was her choice to do so outside of wedlock with a man who was not a man of God. That was her recompense. That was her reward. And when I met her, and that's exactly what she said to me. She says, "But I made the choice to do this. You know, I've recruited some boys into that movement, preteen and teen. And there was one young man, and the reason he stands out to me is because I've gotten to see him since. And so he was 14, and I was probably 28, 29, who knows, when I started dealing with him. And I dealt with him for 4 years, and then off and on. When I got saved, we were leaving New Jersey when I got saved because I didn't want to be in the tri-state area. I was an advocate for this movement. I was very well known. I did the floats for specific nightclubs from New York, Philadelphia, Atlantic City, all over. And I wanted to get out of there and go to Maine. I wanted to go somewhere nobody knew me. Maine. Because nobody should know anybody in Maine. Okay. But so I go to Maine, and but before I moved, I was in Walmart and I saw this young man with his girlfriend and their newborn baby. And when I saw them, I could look at his face and tell that he was sick. And I immediately felt responsible for him being sick. And so I moved to Maine, and for the first few years of my walk as a Christian, that weighed heavily upon me. I would think about that off and on. Did I kill him? Did I kill his girlfriend? Did I kill his baby? And So I started reaching out to him in 2015 through email, through social media, and every time he realized who it was, he would block me. And I would create a new social media name, and I'd message him again, and he blocked me. And then finally, after so many attempts, he actually answered me. Every time I messaged him, I told him I was sorry and who I was now. And I never asked him for forgiveness. I wanted to do that face to face. And he had told me through a very lengthy message on social media that he was infected, and his girlfriend was infected, and his baby was not infected. And his girlfriend, he also told me, was now MIA, that she couldn't take the fact that she was infected by her boyfriend, who was infected by me. So she left. And rumor had it that she was on drugs and alcohol and out there like that. So we made arrangements to kind of get together in 2016. And it was amazing the way the Lord worked it out for us to meet up at one of the busiest rest areas in New Jersey. Like right over the GW Bridge is a rest stop. And it's, I forget the name of it now, John something. There's always at least 500, 700 people there, minimum. So it's always real busy. So we met there, and I'm sitting in the car before he got there, and I'm saying, all right, Lord, if he punches me in my face, we reap what we sow. If he stabs me or shoots me, we reap what we sow. And I'm speaking these words to the Lord. And I see him get out of the car and walk across. He's sitting on the bench, and I'm like, all right, gotta go. And I walk up, and he looks up at me, and he says, can I hug you? Now I'm really thinking he's going to shank me. And I'm looking at each of his hands, like, where's that? And he hugs me. And when he embraces me, I start sobbing like a baby. And he said, I forgive you. And I was like, that's all I really wanted. I just didn't want to ask you. So I saw you. And he's like, I don't hold you responsible. I don't hold you responsible for my choices. And so we really got to sit down and talk for a while. Part of what we talked about was, can we have no more communication after today? I said, absolutely. I just wanted to talk. I wanted forgiveness, and that's what I got. And I did learn that his mom was a Christian. He was living with his mom, raising his son. His son wasn't infected. And that I said to him, I said, have you accepted Jesus? And I was still on fire for the Lord, so I kind of had this picture in my head that I was going to get to be the one to lead him to Jesus right there in the parking lot. And it was going to be this phenomenal thing, right? And he was like, well, yeah. No, he said, no, not yet. And I was like, okay. And he's like, my mom is very angry and very bitter person towards one person in this whole world. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, you. The person that infected her baby with HIV. He said, she doesn't even know we've been in contact. She doesn't know that I'm here. But she's going to know today. He said, because I'm going home and I'm going to tell her, I forgive you. And if she's going to continue to be this woman of God in my life, then she must forgive me. And she needs to be the one to lead me to Jesus. And so that's how we left it. And so that was like an amazing lesson that I received on forgiveness and the importance of forgiveness and what it really means. Because it wasn't as much for me as it was for him. And so we think forgiveness or when we hold grudges or we're bitter over something that it's for us. It's all about us. It's just like everybody running around here talking about I have a personal relationship with Jesus. Well, no, you don't. If you have a personal relationship with Jesus, then guess what? I would really wonder about if that's Jesus or not. Because once we come to Jesus, it's no longer personal. It's no longer about us. It is not personal. It's an intimate relationship with Jesus. Absolutely. I have an intimate relationship with my God. That's the truth. But it's no longer personal because it's not about me. When I became a child of God, I became one very teeny tiny part of a great big whole. And I'm just one little tiny functioning part. I'm like a cell of this body. You know, I used to say, "What? I'm a toe or I'm an arm." Well, no, I'm not. I'm just a cell. I'm an atom of a cell. I'm the teeniest, tiniest part of a great big body. And so it's not personal because the body fails if we're not all working in unison. That's why it's so important. You know, this show that I do called Dry Bones every Tuesday night and it's for a whole nother channel. It's called Take on the World TV. Take on the World. I went there last year to speak at their conference, and there was such a diverse group of people there. Okay, and I mean diverse group of people. Now Tom Dunn goes, and I go, and all these people that I was blessed to meet from all different areas. Some believe in flat Earth. Some believe in and follow the Torah. Some are Hebraic roots. You know, and it didn't matter because some don't believe in flat Earth. Some don't follow the Torah. But the most beautiful thing of this diverse group of people was that they had unity. And they were all unified in Jesus the Christ. Whether they call him Yeshua or Jesus or Yeshua or Yahusha, they're still united in him. You know, whether we call God Yahweh or Yah or Almighty God, he's God. All right? As long as we don't call him Allah, we're all good to go. Okay? But what I got from Take on the World was unity, and I've never seen unity like that in any other group. I've been to a lot of conferences. I've been a part of a lot of different ministries. I've never seen unity in a group of people like I've seen in Take on the World, in that ministry, and all of those people, that family there. And it's important. It's important to know that we have the same call, different function. We all have the same call because we all should be hearing the same shepherd.
Amen.
So if we hear the same shepherd, we have the same call. But we all have different functions. And not all of us are meant to be out on the street. We're not all meant to be out on the street. Look, if your function isn't to be out on the street, then I don't want you on the street. If your function is a prayer warrior and your function is to be at home and be on your face interceding for the ones out in the street, then you better be the best damn prayer warrior you can be. If your function is to feed the homeless and knit scarves and knit hats, then you better knit them the warmest hats and scarves that you've ever knitted and feed them the best meals that they've ever had. We all have a different function. So nobody can guilt us into doing something.
Just because it sounds great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we do have to find out what our function is. And we do not find out what our function is, or where we even can find a function if we don't get out and experience different things to see if it's for us. You know, like I had never been to an abortion mill until 2018, and I went with Coach Dave Dobbin. And when I went with him and I stood out front of that abortion mill, I was empowered. Why was I empowered? not just because I was at an abortion mill. I was empowered because the escorts, what they call the death escorts there, exactly. Most of them are homosexual.
Wow.
They all promote homosexuality. They wear rainbow smocks.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then on top of that, the neighborhoods in which these abortion mills are in are poverty-stricken neighborhoods.
Yes.
I totally related to it.
Mhm.
I saw the drug addict prostitute down on the corner, and I honed in on her, and that's the one I wanted to talk to. Yeah, I can talk to the women getting out of the car, going in to murder their babies. But there's a whole lot of people out there waiting to talk to them women. I go down there, and I have gotten on my knees in front of the death escort and just poured life into them and had them in tears. Because the truth convicts. And the power of our testimony is powerful and it convicts people. And if they can relate in any way, shape, or form, it will affect them and it will move them. Okay? I've seen a couple of them not return. So it's all about where we find our function and where we find power at. You know, the abortion mills are so powerful because they're murdering babies. And that's where that's where the LGBT movement, that's why they're so involved and so encompassed in it, is because that's where they're gaining all their power from the blood of those dead babies. Their babies are being sacrificed, and that's where they're receiving power from.
Yeah.
Any other questions? They're like, no, because every question I ask is like a 45-minute answer.
If you want to, David.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
He's got to have prayer here in the next few days. When?
Right in the 13th.
We're going to have prayer with him.
Okay. Hey, did everyone hear that? I hope so. And I don't even know. I know I'm at my time at 8 o'clock. I know I started late. I love you guys. I'm sorry it's so late, but I've been going since 5 o'clock this morning. I love you guys, and
What's your name,
I'll see y'all in the morning, Lord willing.
Dennis. Somebody put it- Nice to meet you, brother.